ultimately, it's all about people and giving the power back to people. So I think it's important to hear and to learn from everyone that is working in this industry. We need to leave the bubble and interact with real companies, real customers, and generate real use cases. It's all about shifting the balance of power and creating a more fair and community-driven cloud infrastructure.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Unleashing DePIN Podcast. My name's Tyler. I'm your host, and I'm very excited for our next guest. We have Sarah. She runs marketing and strategy at ICN, Impossible Cloud Network. So, Sarah, how are you doing? Welcome onto the pod.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. So maybe for folks that are not familiar with either yourself or your project, can you just give us a quick introduction about who you are, how you joined the project, maybe a little bit of history with the network itself, and we can jump into it from there?
Yeah, absolutely. So a few words about myself. So Sarah, born and raised in Portugal and actually calling from Porto, the north of Portugal. I would say sunny Portugal, but that's not the case today. Um, so actually I've been involved in the Web3 space for the past few years, I would say 6 years now. Six as an investor, five as being actively working and building ecosystems and projects in the space. My entire background is in marketing, business development, and community building. I strongly believe in decentralization. And so for that reason, I'm always very curious on learning more about the innovative startups and helping them to scale and grow. So that's the reason why I decided to join ICN. But just for your understanding, I raised my own company before that. We raised more than 10 million in Lisbon. Then I was recognized as Forbes 30 under 30 when it comes to innovation and technology here in Portugal. I released my own book around Web3 as well and virtual universes. And then now I'm just embracing this new challenge that is build the future of the open and fully decentralized cloud with the ICN protocol. And this is why I'm here. So basically what we are doing is that we are releasing this protocol/platform that aims to bring together different hardware providers, meaning data centers across the globe, with different service providers. And then I can explain you more in deep, like why we decided to jump on this mission to outcompete with big cloud giants and where did we start. But basically it's trying to merge together different hardware providers, different service providers. And then in the middle, we have the Oracle node. So pretty much everyone that is going to buy and run our node that actually we just started our sale in December and we achieved massive and very good results. Is going to be able to validate, ensure, and manage every transaction and request from these two providers. And of course, for that, we have a incentivization plan and system. So that means that they're going to receive ICNT tokens. And this is just the first step. And we are starting with cloud and storage, but we have big plans to expand into GPU, computing, gaming, AI in general. But this is just the first step. And that's what we are doing. And we have been in the space for a few months now. I would say almost 1 year.
Yeah, you guys have definitely been hitting the ground running and getting a lot of traction, which I'm excited to chat about. I'm curious, what was your previous startup doing in the Web3 space? Like, how did you initially get introduced to this concept of decentralization, tokenization? I always love hearing people's backstories. And is that being a project founder in the space before? I'm just curious what you're building.
And that's a very good question because honestly, I think right now, every time that we go on podcasts, X Spaces and all, almost like everything is structured in advance, right? There is no room for creativity and actually to get to know each other. It's always like asking about the product, asking about the technology, and not so much about the people behind the technology. And that for me is crucial because honestly speaking, as I mentioned, I'm a true believer in the power of decentralization and what actually blockchain represents. I'm that person when everyone goes on stage and talks shit about Bitcoin and think Bitcoin is like everything that we are doing. I'm getting like super angry. So I'm like, no, that's not what we are doing here. We're not Luniacs living in our own world. But I tend to say that technology is key. Is the technology, mathematics, everything like it's connected to blockchain. But ultimately, it's all about people and giving the power back to people. So I think it's important to hear and to learn from everyone that is working in this industry. And actually, one of the main reasons why I decided to release my own book was actually because I believe that everyone that is working in Web3 right now, we are writing history without knowing it. And so we have this mission to make sure that we educate others. Now saying that everyone in Web3 knows exactly what this industry represents, that's not the case because it's a massive industry, right? And we're still building this day by day. We are still learning new things every week. and seeing very innovative projects being released. I honestly think that you just need to have this mission and this commitment to inform others what actually blockchain represents. It's just more than just cryptocurrency. It's just more to buying and flipping coins. It has a real meaning, right? And so that was the reason where that put me like completely in love with this market. Actually, it all started when I was doing my master thesis. Um, then everyone was, okay, stop. You are being like a luniac. You are going too crazy, saying that we're all going to buy NFTs. And then ultimately, we're all going to, I don't know, disrupt the traditional economic and financial ecosystem. And so that was my first interaction with blockchain. So it was actually during university. Then I reached out on LinkedIn to this random guy that is called Tibulone. He was working on in building a company in Lisbon, which was like fairly odd and weird. That was building like bridging the gap between luxury and NFTs. And so I dropped him a message saying, okay, I'm very curious about this project. This is exactly what I've been studying and working on in the past year, like during my research for my master thesis. And he was like, okay, let's have a chat. So we were like on a call for 2 hours talking about blockchain, what we think about this, what is an NFT, what is a token, how can brands take advantage of this? And then immediately I received like a job offer and also like an investor position. And so we started the company from scratch, me, of course, with other co-founders. And it was the perfect school. But then the company was already very well established. We launched more than 17 NFT collections in the past, tokens for brands, our community, the hype was there. Then the market crashed a little bit, right? So the brands were still questioning their existence in Web3. And so I just decided to embrace a new challenge that for me was like, once they invited me to work for Impossible Cloud Network, I'm not going to lie, I was like, cloud, what is this? What do they have to do with blockchain? It's not sexy, it's not cool. But then after the first interview, when I was meeting the team, I was like, no, this has real potential. I'm not saying that NFTs, they don't have a real potential, because they do, if they have a proper utility. But here it's the demand side. Actually, Impossible Cloud Network, they started with the demand side, meaning that they create their own cloud and storage company like 4 years ago in Germany. And based on this company, they were able to grow like their portfolio of clients and business and enterprise customers. And with that, they now have the knowledge and they have the connections to release a DePIN project, because I think the will is most of the times in the wrong direction, meaning that we have this amazing idea of going after decentralization on a philosophical perspective. It's perfect. Everything is beautiful and exactly what the world needs, right? But then the institutions or the corporations, they don't see the value and they still rule the economy, right? So that's important that ICN or our team identified that. So they started with demand. So just for your reference, in our protocol, mid of this year, still, we are going to onboard around more than 25 different hardware providers, meaning data centers across the globe, which is huge, because this means that our node operators, so everyone that has our node, is going to be able to interact with, I don't know, thousands of storage and cloud capacity around the world. And so once like I was in the first meeting with them, I was like, okay, this has real potential. When they're already generating money, they're already generating business in a more traditional way. And then it's just a matter of putting the right layer that is decentralization. But I will say, and I'm sorry, I don't shut up. That's one thing about me, because when
Yeah, I love it.
when I'm really passionate about the project, I tend to speak over and over. Yeah, but I really think the biggest obstacle when it comes to DePIN and what we are doing at ICN is not necessarily the tech part. And this goes back to what I was saying previously, is that it's all about mindset and education, right? People don't know how a usual cloud storage company works. Even myself, when I joined the company, my knowledge on that was zero. But then when people actually explain the amount of data that they get from you, the control that you have, it's zero on all of your stuff, and everything is centralized and depends on that institution, then it's a no-brainer to adopt this type of technologies. And honestly speaking, I really think that DePIN is going to be the next big thing in blockchain, because I really think everyone see us as like these luniacs that live in a bubble where we think like everyone should buy things with cryptocurrency and blockchain is a way and decentralization. But we are here, we are still in the bubble, right? And we need to leave the bubble and interact with real companies, real customers, and generate real use cases. And I really think DePIN being involved in physical infrastructures can be the ultimate trigger to achieve that.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And I definitely appreciate the fact that you guys have started with the actual demand side with a Web2 business. And that's really been the catalyst for actually driving the value that unlocks with the physical infrastructure side. Can you talk to that a little bit more? Like specifically how much, not necessarily how much demand, but how the intersection or interfacing of the actual decentralized network aspect is interfacing with the current Web2 business today?
Yeah, 100%. So actually, we do have our own Web2 product, right? That is Impossible Cloud. That is our Web2 offering and that catering like to enterprise scalable high performance cloud storage solutions. On the other hand, ICN represents the Web3 arm. So meaning like that our vision is to build these decentralized clouds powered by community that runs SLA Oracle nodes and all of that. So you know the history. But if you think about this, the two of them are going to coexist like perfectly because Impossible Cloud is going to build trust and credibility in the enterprise space, while ICN is going to bring the power of decentralization to this ecosystem, offering a seamless bridge for business waiting to explore the benefits of Web3, but they don't have the infrastructure or the financial or the investment ready to go after decentralization. And they can just explore these effects by just joining the ICN protocol. Of course, IC is going to join our protocol as a service provider, but Impossible Cloud is going to be one of many. And this is the perfect entries for these Web2 and traditional models to explore the potential of decentralization in a very easy and smooth way, I would say.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. And for those that maybe don't understand or recognize the problems with centralized Web2 cloud solutions, can you talk about really what the value of having a decentralized physical infrastructure network brings to the table, whether it's for security, whether it's for reliability, uptime, all of these kind of benefits that you actually unlock from the Web3 component to this?
Sure, it's all of that, everything that you raise and even more. So actually the driving force behind ICN was recognizing how efficient it was, like the traditionally centralized cloud services. Providers like AWS, Google Cloud, they dominate the markets, but they lock customers into rigid, like very strong and high pricing models and lack of transparency, right? With ICN, we saw the opportunity to empower the individuals and business to contribute to a decentralized cloud ecosystem while earning rewards. And this is the cool part, right? Because there's a lot of cool Web3 projects out there, but there's also a lot of projects that you ask why.
Yeah.
Why we are doing this, right? You are just taking space of the market. I really don't see the need. There's not a necessity to launch this, right? And this is where ICN comes in. That is the fact that now the power is on the node operator, is on the community-driven platform, right? Because they can get rewards by participating and for being involved in the protocol itself. So it's all about shifting the balance of power and creating a more fair and community-driven cloud infrastructure. And it's already being seen by our success with our node sale. We have more than 28K nodes that we were able to sell in the past few weeks.
Wow.
We're talking about close to 13 million so far. But this is only the beginning because we plan on keeping the sale open for quite some time and continue to evolve our partnerships. And as I mentioned to you, Tyler, before, it's all about educating others, making sure that they understand exactly why this is so powerful. And once we are able to spread the word about this out there, and it's going to be a no-brainer for people to identify the potential.
Yeah, I'm really excited for all the future prospects and clearly the traction and success to speak for themselves. Can you unpack the network dynamics a little bit? You mentioned the oracles. Can you just give a high level overview of how those different components work within the network, what it looks like to potentially onboard for those that maybe want to get involved with this?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, just to make sure that things are clear, we don't have a physical node. So we don't have a physical device attached to our DePIN project. And as you mentioned it very well, like SLA Oracle nodes, that the name for itself is a little bit weird and very corporate. So let's put it like Oracle nodes in general. They are indeed the backbone of the entire ICN network. So they monitor and verify the performance of hardware providers that are contributing to our decentralized cloud. And they ensure that resources are reliable and meet service level commitments. So just for you to understand, like they are going to continuously to see and identify challenge issues and verify hardware performance. For instance, optimize geolocalization, compliance, and any like other security measures. Then nodes are going to report back with results that are going to enable trust and transparency. And then operators of these nodes are rewarded in ICNT tokens for their active participation. And as we all know, this is the perfect Web3 model. That is the win situation. That is, okay, I'm providing my resources, my data, my time, but then I need to get something in exchange, right? That's the fair participation and the fair model that Web3 stands for. So this is exactly the fundamentals and the basis of ICN, and how people can join us. It's fairly easy. They just need to buy a node. Now I'm going to sound very commercial, but it's true. They just need to buy a node. Then we have partners such as like Node Ops, EaseFlow, DePIN Hub. So a lot of node operators that can help to set up and run the node very smoothly. So people don't actually need to have any type of technical understanding on how to install the software and running the node. Of course, this is only going to be possible once we release the mainnet and start releasing the product, which is not live yet. But they can still get the node now because, as we all know, the early the tier, the reduced the price. And then once everything is live, they can start staking and redeeming their ICNT tokens.
Yeah. And so what does it look like for the SLA oracles? Is that something that anybody can join and become, or is that, okay, so there's really no differentiation between requirements for onboarding between like a SLA oracle versus just a regular node, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, very cool. So you talked about mainnet a little bit. Can you share where you're at in the timeline with respect to testnet, when things are going to go live, what that actually means for participants, and just unpack that for us?
Yeah, 100%. So actually regarding our roadmap, so as I mentioned, we have been around for what, 1 year. I decided to join the project in May. I believe they launched it like in April. So there is only a few months. And we were able to release our testnets. We released our testnet in October of 2024. We were able to secure more than 250,000 participants in our testnet. More than, I don't know, like 7 million or even more like tasks that were performed in our testnet. And all the participants that collaborated and interacted with our testnets, they are going to be eligible, not all of them, the top leaderboard, they're going to be eligible for the fair drop. So, and here we are starting to educate others that people are going to receive money and rewards and tokens on the behalf of their participation and their involvement in the network. So that was a big milestone for us. Then in December, we released our node. As I mentioned, it was a surprise during private and public, the result that we were able to achieve. But right now we stand on a little bit more than 28,000 nodes, and then around $13 million that we generated so far. Then what we have for this year in terms of plans, we have a lot of exciting news actually. Because I think that's the beauty of Web3, right? We learn from the community what they want, what they really appreciate, and then we can custom and tailor our project a little bit, especially because ICN is a foundation. So we really want to give governance back to our community members and making sure that they are part of all or most of the decisions that we are going to make. And so for this year, of course, we are going to start releasing our products, probably in different phases, because here we are talking about a very complex project. Probably we are going to start with some security actions, identifying or like registering all the node operators out there so that they can execute certain tasks. And only then we include the hardware providers and then the rest of the dynamics and elements of the protocol. But we are hoping to do this and like between March to June to have the proper product being released. And then once the product is live, because our token is a utility token, our token is also going to be listed on several exchanges. We are already in conversation with a lot of good ones. Of course, I cannot pronounce any names, but I can guarantee you that we are here to make things right. And that's it. That's the plans that we have for this year. A lot of new partnerships going to be released as well. As I mentioned, right now we are in cloud and storage, but big collaborations on computing, GPU we have in our horizons, even like playing with AI agents. This is all in our roadmap. But most importantly, we understand that it's all perfect for a project to present this wonderful and super powerful and strong roadmap. But the most important thing is to make sure that we deliver. And so for that reason, we are just giving some visibility on the next 6 months, like a concrete visibility, to make sure that we actually deliver what we promise to our community members.
Yeah, I think everybody's going to appreciate that you're executing against something where you're not over promising and under delivering, which is always great and definitely a bit of a problem within the Web3 space that we see from time to time. One of the things that you mentioned a little bit ago was that you'll have different participants within the network. So you're going to have Impossible Cloud as one of the first. I know you alluded to these other verticals, if you will, but can you speak to the types of kind of contributors or partners that would be joining the network from the protocol side?
Yeah, we already have more than 30 plus partnerships established with DePIN projects out there. And we're talking about Ether, Acras, Impossible Finance. So there's a lot of names that we're already in touch with because ultimately we also want to make sure that we partner with other DePIN projects and then we include them as part of our protocol. When it comes to service and hardware providers, I don't think I am allowed to share a few names, but we do have some contracts like with decent, strong cloud service providers out there. But to be honest with you, Tyler, I don't have any concrete names that I can share.
That's okay. Maybe I can reshape the question a little bit, which is
Yeah.
for the types of partners that you want to attract to join the network in the future, what are those types of projects for people that are listening? They say, oh, I want to be a participant or I have a company that could be a value add. What would those types of companies be?
Honestly, I think we are open to not, I'm not going to say all DePIN projects, but at least some of them we see the right connection, right? Especially because our protocol is going to expand so much. There is always room for collaboration. That's also one of the biggest pillars when it comes to Web3. Right now, since our protocol is built on Base, we are also getting to know a lot of other DePIN projects that are built on Base, trying to understand what we can do with them. Of course, on the Web2 side, there's always room for collaboration for a traditional service provider, hardware provider that also wants to explore the potential of Web3. We are also open for synergies. But on the DePIN slash blockchain project side, I think there's always room for collaboration. Even if we're talking about the product slash tech integration, probably we also need to read all the documentation to see exactly if there's the right fit. Because as I mentioned, our essence is Germany. So we are very concrete and very accurate on what we want to achieve. And so for that, of course, we cannot commit to a partnership that we're not going to honor or we are not going to make it through, right? That's out of the plan. So we just really want to make sure that once we announce a tech collaboration, that this is something that we can release in the platform as soon as possible. So that all depends on the project scope and where they're standing, right?
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. One of the things that's always been a challenge for me as I've been evaluating kind of these various cloud competitors to things like AWS or GCP is that a lot of the legacy players come with tooling and resources and other types of infrastructure that enable businesses or developers to be able to come on, easily deploy whatever they're building. Is that one of the things that Impossible Cloud has as a strategic advantage, given the fact that you've been around for a few years, you're able to have, you already have like a Web2 business with demand. Are you able to bring additional sort of value adds or synergies that make your decentralized product more of a compelling offer compared to other potentially competitors in the space?
We hope so, right? We hope so. And so far, this is exactly what we have been hearing from the community and also other investors. This is actually the differentiation point of ICN, is that we are coming from demand. We are showing already results as we speak. We have up and running company that is working on the traditional market. Now it's just a matter to release our protocol. And of course, considering that we already have this, I would say, security that we know exactly that we're going to have a real impact and we're going to have partners working with us to make sure that we work and we deliver in the cloud and storage space. Definitely, I would say that we're going to have a competitive advantage from others, like compared to others, because we already have this expertise for sure.
Yeah. Okay. That's good to hear. It's always, when you're evaluating projects, that's definitely an important one to have. I know you talked a bit about your roadmap, what's coming. I know you want to be concrete in what's actually going to be delivered, but was there anything else just with respect to what's coming in 2025 that we haven't got a chance to uncover that you think is important for people to be aware of?
I think that's all. I think we are going to continue to expanding our partnerships, collaborating with big names in the space to make sure that we can grow our ecosystem. We're also going to announce very soon our ecosystem grants. So making sure that we keep supporting builders who want to innovate on top of ICN and grow with ICN. We're also going to release our very first hackathon around March. So this will be the first, like something new for us. So that will be exciting. I think we are planning on releasing 2 hackathons this year, by the way, but we will keep you posted for more. And then ultimately, I think what they can expect from us is like, we are just going to continue to expand our global presence, attending Web3 events and enterprise events to spread the awareness and onboard new participants to the ecosystem in general. And of course, as I mentioned, starting from cloud and storage and then continue to expanding on different dimensions.
Yeah, that's amazing. You said one thing that I wanted to circle back on, which is a little bit less specific to ICN and more of just a general question for people that are building DePIN networks, is that you guys are building on Base, which we've seen a lot of attention, a lot of projects that have been moving to Base recently. I'm curious, what was the rationale or reasoning behind that? And if you would have something to share for people that are interested in choosing a chain, because that's been a hot topic of conversation within the space lately.
It is. It is actually. People keep asking us about that. And of course, for very, I don't know, normal reasons, we select Base because of the security, the transparency, like their position in the market as well, let's face it. But also, we were on, like, in conversation with several chains when we were trying to make this decision. But to be fair, we felt secure with Base. It was the perfect fit for us, right? I think there's a lot of like DePIN projects going like into Solana, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? I honestly think like multi-chain should be something that everyone should dream of, but we need to start somewhere, right? But I would say that like in the Base ecosystem, on the DePIN Base ecosystem, we have this mission to make sure that this year people start recognizing Base as the home for all DePIN projects. So let's see if we're going to execute on that. But for us, it was a no-brainer. Honestly speaking, I don't know exactly what else I can add, but it was like the perfect match for us. And it felt like a safe and not a safe bet, but like a proper bet. It was the right partner for us. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I'm excited to see how that traction starts to grow in this year. If DePIN will be built on Base in 2025, I think there's a strong chance of that being the case. Gosh, sir, we've covered so many things. Was there anything else we didn't get a chance to cover that you thought was relevant for folks before we wrap it up here?
No, I think that's all. If you are interested in learning more about, feel free to follow us on X, Discord, Telegram, where we share like daily announcements. Buy a node if you think it's a good investment. Usually when people ask me, oh, do you think I should buy a node? And I'm like, yeah, if you are well educated about this, right? We should all do your own research. So that's very important in this space. If they see the potential and if you are familiar with the space, why not? I think it's a very good project to keep an eye on, and we are only getting started.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I will definitely become a participant. I will buy a node. I'm going to
Oh,
sign up. We always
fantastic.
get we get our hands on with every project that we get on the pod. So it's definitely a requirement for us to do that. So we'll be there soon. But with that being said, everyone, I think we'll wrap it up here. Sarah, I want to thank you again for coming on to chat about everything that you're building. You guys have a very compelling product offering, and I think you guys are going to be very successful. We'll make sure to have all of those links below, whether it's X, Discord, Telegram, or a link to go purchase the node so you can go get involved. And we will wrap it up here and see everyone on the next one. Sarah, thanks again for chatting.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.